Consumers spent a record-breaking $994.1 billion in the U.S. during the November and December holiday season last year. I mean, that's almost $1 trillion in just, what, 8 weeks?
Yeah, about 8 weeks.
Right. But when you look at the data on which brands actually took home the biggest slice of that massive pie, you see something completely counterintuitive. The companies that won the holiday season, they effectively stopped trying to sell to their customers entirely.
I know, it sounds like a paradox. Right. But it's really the new reality.
Right.
The defining characteristic of a successful Q4 strategy today is that it completely redefines the relationship between the buyer and the seller.
Yeah, and we are looking at a massive stack of sources today to figure out why everything we think we know about Q4 marketing is suddenly backwards. We've got consumer research from Google, retail data from the National Retail Federation, the latest State of Marketing report from HubSpot, plus some really great insights from Sprout Social and Socially Buzz.
It's a lot of data to sift through, definitely.
Yeah. It is, yeah. So if you are prepping for a Q4 meeting, or maybe launching an end-of-year product, or honestly just trying to figure out why your own buying habits have changed so much recently, our mission for this deep dive today is to understand how to capture attention in an incredibly noisy market, and to do it without just, resorting to a race-to-the-bottom discount war.
Right, which nobody wants to get into.
Exactly. So, okay, let's unpack this.
Well, the foundational shift that we really have to grapple with right out of the gate is how we even define a holiday campaign in the first place. Because historically, for decades really, a holiday campaign was a point-of-sale transaction.
Just putting up a sign.
Exactly. You put a physical or digital festive sign up in late November, you slash the price by 30%, and you just wait for the credit card swipes.
Right.
But today, in 2026, that transaction is merely the final, almost administrative step of a months-long decision journey.
A month-long journey, meaning, we are having this conversation about holiday sales, but the action isn't happening during the holidays at all.
No, not at all.
Let's look at the stakes with that National Retail Federation data. $994.1 billion. It's hard to even wrap your head around that number.
It is a staggering amount of capital flowing very quickly. But the Google consumer research paints a picture of a consumer who is, well, highly strategic about how they deploy their share of that $1 trillion. They are absolutely not waiting until Black Friday to decide what to buy. They're in research mode, seeking inspiration and comparing options in September, sometimes even late August.
Wow, late August. So while everyone is always complaining about seeing plastic Christmas trees in aisle 4 before Halloween, the consumers themselves are actually the ones driving that timeline.
Yes, the consumers dictate the timeline based on their digital behavior. If you think about the mechanics of attention right now, increased spending across the economy brings fiercely increased competition.
Right.
So if you sell high-end coffee accessories, you aren't just competing with other coffee brands anymore. You're competing for a finite amount of consumer attention and a finite holiday budget against every single brand in their feed.
Yeah, the apparel companies, the tech gadgets, the travel deals, every single ad is fighting for the exact same wallet.
And if you wait until mid-November to enter that arena, you are fighting for customers who already locked in their preferences in October. You're showing up to a marathon that started 2 miles ago, wondering why you can't see the leaders.
Oh man, that's such a good way to put it. And the source material actually breaks this new timeline down into 3 distinct phases. So September and October are purely for building awareness, not immediate sales.
Right.
November is for capturing the demand you already built. And then December is strictly for converting the panicked last-minute buyers.
Yeah, the procrastinators.
Exactly. It makes me think of trying to get a massive business loan. You can't just walk into a bank in November and ask for $1 million if you haven't spent the last 5 years building your credit score.
No, they'd laugh you out of the building.
Right. So you have to build the brand credit in September so you can cash it in during November.
That brand credit score is a really great way to conceptualize it. You're establishing your credibility and your value proposition before the pressure of the transaction ever exists.
Yeah.
Because if you try to build trust and ask for money in the exact same breath, the consumer's guard just goes up immediately.
But if I buy into this idea that my goal in September and October isn't to yell sale at people, what am I actually doing? If I'm not putting a product in front of them with a buy button, how am I actually building this brand credit?
You transition your brand from a vendor into a resource. The research points heavily to the gift guide strategy during this early phase. So instead of trying to force a specific product down their throat, you solve their underlying problem.
Like those ubiquitous lists you see everywhere, like 10 gifts under $50 or the best holiday gifts for the guy who has everything.
Yes, exactly those. And the psychology behind why those work is so crucial. In October, the consumer has a high cognitive load. They're stressed about the impending holidays. They have a problem, which is usually, what on earth do I get my father-in-law?
Always the hardest person to shop for.
Always. But when your brand provides a curated guide that solves that problem, you trigger the psychological principle of reciprocity. You gave them something valuable relief from their stress, time saved, and you gave it for free.
Right.
So you've effectively created a trust deficit where they feel positively disposed toward your brand.
So they remember that you helped them, not that you tried to sell them a wallet.
Exactly.
The sources also talk about storytelling campaigns here. I think they mention like a local restaurant sharing a generations-old family recipe or a business doing a mini documentary on their most loyal customers.
Because storytelling humanizes the entity. It sets the stage so that when November arrives, the offer you make isn't just about price. The data suggests moving away from the discount trap entirely.
And doing what instead?
Offering seasonal packages, exclusive bundles, or early access loyalty rewards. You increase the perceived value rather than just destroying your profit margin.
Okay, I have to stop you there and push back on this a little bit.
Sure.
Because this sounds amazing in a textbook, but let's be real. Black Friday is blood sport.
It really is.
It is practically a cultural phenomenon built entirely on the concept of fighting over cheap TVs. If I'm running a mid-sized e-commerce brand, I need cash flow in Q4. I can't pay my warehouse staff with emotional resonance and a heartwarming family recipe, you know?
Right. You need actual revenue.
Right. So can a story really beat a competitor's 50% off coupon when push comes to shove in November?
It's a fair question, and it's the most common objection every marketing director has. But it comes down to the fundamental difference between a transaction and a relationship.
Okay.
Yes, if you offer a 50% off coupon, you will absolutely drive a massive, immediate spike in short-term sales. But you are training your customer to be loyal to the price, not the brand.
Meaning the second they find someone cheaper, they're gone.
They will abandon you for a competitor who is $1 cheaper on Cyber Monday without a second thought. The 2026 playbook forces you to answer a really difficult question. Why should a customer choose your business this holiday season? If your only defense is, because we are the cheapest, you're locked in a race to the bottom, and Amazon will always win that race.
Yeah, you can't out-cheap the giants. So the storytelling and the bundles in October, they are basically armor for your profit margins in November. You make them want the product so much that a competitor's discount doesn't even sway them.
Exactly. You make the decision about brand affinity, not just pure economics.
Okay, so if I'm building this credit score and I'm focusing on value over deep discounts, how do I actually deliver that message? Because a billboard on the highway isn't going to cut it anymore.
Definitely not.
Let's look at the tactical playbook. What channels are actually moving the needle in 2026?
Well, if we look at the HubSpot State of Marketing Report data, two channels completely dominate the conversion strategy right now: email and short-form video.
It's so funny. I feel like every January, we read 50 articles claiming email is dead, and then every Q4, the data shows it's the only thing keeping the lights on.
It's so true. Email refuses to die because it is an owned, direct line to the consumer, and it's completely immune to algorithm changes. But the way you use it has to evolve. The research outlines a very specific 4-step holiday sequence.
Let's break that down because I really want to understand the mechanics here. So
Right.
Step 1 is the early awareness email.
Right.
Step 2 is gift inspiration, which is where those gift guides live. Step 3 is the limited time promo in November. And Step 4 is the final reminder in December.
And the mechanism that makes this whole sequence work is restraint. Notice that steps 1 and 2 do not ask for the sale.
But isn't that just leaving money on the table? If I have their attention in a Step 2 email, why wouldn't I throw a buy now button at the bottom just in case?
Because it dilutes the reciprocity we talked about earlier. If I hand you a gift, but then immediately ask you for $20, it wasn't a gift.
It was a transaction.
Exactly. By keeping the first 2 emails purely focused on value and inspiration, you train the reader to actually open your emails. When that 3rd email hits the limited time promo, the open rates are drastically higher because the consumer isn't fatigued by your constant selling.
That makes total sense. You're conditioning them to expect value when they see your name in their inbox.
Precisely.
Now, let's talk about the visual side of this, because HubSpot also points to short-form video, but They aren't talking about highly polished Super Bowl-style commercial productions, right?
So, not at all.
They specifically highlight gritty, behind-the-scenes prep, team celebrations, a messy warehouse packing orders. Why is the raw stuff outperforming the polished stuff so heavily?
This brings us to the elephant in the room for every marketer right now, the AI paradox.
Here's where it's really interesting.
Oh, it really does.
Yeah.
So artificial intelligence has completely saturated the workflow. It writes copy, it generates hyper-realistic product images, it builds entire storyboards in seconds. It is a brilliant efficiency tool.
It's everywhere.
But the paradox is that because every single brand has access to the exact same AI tools, the baseline of the internet is now a sea of perfectly grammatical, highly polished, completely soulless sameness. C+ content is now infinite and free.
Which means C+ content has a valuation of 0.
Exactly.
It reminds me of a highly efficient sous chef in a restaurant kitchen. The AI can chop 1,000 onions, it can peel all the potatoes, it can portion the proteins in record time, it saves you days of labor. But if you just take a bowl of chopped raw onions and put it on a table, no one is going to eat it.
No, definitely not.
You still need the human executive chef to combine those ingredients, apply heat, taste the broth, and actually give the dish a soul.
I love that.
Yeah.
Let's take that sous chef analogy a step further and apply it to how consumers actually shop today. Because we have shifted from an intent-based shopping model to a discovery-based shopping model.
Okay, walk me through the mechanics of that. What is the difference?
5 years ago, shopping was intent-based. You wanted winter boots. You went to a search bar, typed in best winter boots, and clicked a link. Today, it is discovery-based. Consumers open a social media app, TikTok, Instagram, whatever, and they just scroll. They let the algorithm predict what they want before they even know they want it.
All right, the algorithm is the new window shopping.
Exactly. But here is the catch. Discovery algorithms only distribute content that drives human engagement, comments, shares, saves, arguments, real interaction.
Yeah.
A perfectly rendered AI image of a boot on a white background inspires 0 emotion. It gets 0 shares. But a slightly shaky, authentic video of your real employees frantically packing holiday orders while wearing ridiculous Uggy sweaters.
Yeah, that feels human.
People comment on it, they share it, the algorithm sees that human signal and amplifies it. In 2026, authentic imperfection completely crushes polished perfection.
The messy humanity is the competitive advantage. I love that. Okay, so we have the timeline, start in September. We have the strategy, build trust through reciprocity and value. We have the tactical delivery, restrained email sequences, and authentic, unpolished video.
Yep, that's the core of it.
But how does this actually survive contact with reality? Because execution is where the wheels usually fall off. Let's look at the 60 to 90-day blueprint and the fatal flaws the sources warn us about.
The data highlights 3 major pitfalls that will tank a campaign before it even launches. The first is timeline denial waiting until December, which we've already covered.
Right, you're just too late.
The second is the discount dependency, which just destroys your margins and brand loyalty.
And the third one is fascinating to me. It's creating content without a strategy. The Sprout social data explicitly warns that posting more doesn't equal results. I think this is where the Q4 panic really sets in, right?
Absolutely.
A brand gets to mid-November, sales are maybe a little sluggish, and the marketing team just starts firing off 3 posts a day across every platform, just hoping something goes viral.
The spray and pray approach. It is not just ineffective, it is actively destructive.
How so? I mean, if I throw 10 darts at a board, isn't it better than throwing 2?
Not if the algorithm is watching your accuracy.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Every time you post low-quality, desperate content that your audience scrolls past without engaging, you're training the algorithm that your account is irrelevant. You're literally suppressing your own reach. Every single piece of content needs a defined purpose. Is this post designed to build awareness? Is it to educate the buyer? Or is it a targeted call to action?
So it's about being intentional. And to avoid that mid-November panic, the sources provide a preparation checklist. They recommend planning campaigns 60 to 90 days ahead.
Which feels early, but it's necessary.
Right. Meaning you are building your content calendars in August.
Yeah.
You are drafting that 4-step email sequence before the peak periods hit, analyzing last year's data to see what actually converted, and ensuring your messaging doesn't sound schizophrenic across different platforms.
The insights from Socially Buzz really bring this blueprint into focus. They emphasize that you aren't just scheduling posts, you're building an interconnected marketing ecosystem.
An ecosystem, meaning one piece feeds the other.
Right. It's how the behind-the-scenes video on social media drives a viewer to click the link in bio, which puts them on a landing page for the gift guide, which captures their email, which triggers the early awareness sequence, which eventually delivers the November promo. It has to be a seamless, closed loop.
So what does this all mean for the listener right now? If you are a learner trying to apply this to your own business, or maybe you're managing a team, this means your heavy lifting for the holiday actually needs to be finished by late summer. The creative needs to be locked, the emails drafted, the automations tested. Because if you are scrambling to write copy in late October, you have already lost the season.
Which forces us to ask perhaps the most critical question of this entire deep dive. What is the ultimate long-term purpose of a holiday campaign in 2026?
Well, on paper, it's to hit your Q4 revenue targets and keep the business profitable, right?
That is the financial outcome, yes. But strategically, the ultimate purpose is relationship strengthening. The holiday season creates a massive anomalous spike in web traffic and brand discovery. If your only goal is customer acquisition, just getting them to buy once you are running on a treadmill, you have to pay to acquire a brand new customer all over again next year.
And the cost of acquisition just keeps going up.
Relentlessly going up. That's why the guide emphasizes customer appreciation campaigns alongside acquisition.
Things like sending a thank you video from the founder to people who bought in the spring, or offering a loyalty reward to an existing subscriber before you offer it to the public.
Exactly.
Treating the customers you already have with as much reverence as the ones you are desperately trying to acquire.
Because by focusing on customer appreciation, you ensure that the emotional connection forged during the frenzy of Q4 actually survives into January and February. You are turning a transactional one-time holiday buyer into a baseline, lifelong brand advocate. That is how you grow a business year over year, rather than just surviving from one Black Friday to the next.
Which really brings us back to the core thesis of this entire analysis. Holiday marketing in 2026 is a marathon of trust building. It is no longer a sprint of discount shouting. It requires planting the seeds in early fall, leaning into authentic storytelling that treats the consumer like an intelligent human being with complex problems, and using tools like strategic email and raw video to cut through the algorithmic noise.
Beautifully summarized.
You can let the AI chop the onions, but you have to bring the soul to the kitchen yourself.
The biggest financial opportunity in holiday marketing isn't the holiday season itself. It is the invisible groundwork laid in the months before anyone hears a single jingle bell.
I want to leave everyone with a final provocative thought. There is a fascinating connection buried in the source text that I think encapsulates this entire shift. The guide mentions the necessity of running retargeting campaigns in November. Those are the highly effective ads that follow a consumer around the internet after they viewed a specific product on your site.
Right. Very common tactic.
But earlier in the guide, it explicitly advises businesses to spend late summer collecting customer reviews and organizing user testimonials.
Gathering the social proof while the stakes are low.
Exactly. Think about the psychological implication of those two separate tasks. If consumers are doing their mental window shopping in September, reading blogs, checking Reddit, looking for gift inspiration, well, those early customer reviews are actually the invisible engine powering the November retargeting ads. A brilliant, expensive, highly produced retargeting ad in November is completely useless if the customer's September research didn't validate your brand's trustworthiness first.
If the foundation isn't there, the ad is just an annoyance.
Which means your entire Q4 holiday season, the biggest revenue driver of the year, might actually hinge on a detailed review left by a satisfied customer on a random Tuesday in August. It turns out that plastic tree sitting in aisle 4 next to the Halloween candy, it's not rushing the season at all. According to the data, it is right on time.